What's going on, my fellow Jedi and Padawans? Welcome back to another Jedi gaming video. Thank you guys so much for coming back to the channel, and if you guys are new, welcome. Today we're getting another Prismatic Hunter build your way with a little bit of Foetracers, little bit of Gryfalcons on that exotic class item that we got, using this thing to absolutely clear rooms while getting that ×4 weapon damage for our void weapons, absolutely destroying people because of that, as well as that nice artifact mod that we have on this season's Hunter's Journal as well. So we will get right into it with the two perks that I do have on my exotic class item first, because this thing is disgusting in my opinion. So first off, we do have Spirit of the Foetracer. So damaging a powerful combatant or guardian with an ability grants the temporary bonus damage for the matching ability element. So for us, we're going to be using a void grenade to get this to proc on those orange and yellow bar enemies. Then we get that ×4 damage on our weapons for void. Second perk that we got is that Spirit of the Gryfalcon. With our void weapons gain that volatile rounds after we emerge from being invisible, which is perfect for Prismatic because of course we got that Stylus Executioner, which turns us invisible after getting those debuff defeats on enemies. So it is match made in heaven. So starting us off for our abilities, aspects, and fragments, we're going to be using our Deadfall Tether, of course, for weakening and suppression because of that expanding abyss that we got with the weakening to be able to proc it, plus we can stun those overload champions. We're going to be using our Gambler's Dodge with triple jump on this build, as well as Withering Blade. We get 2 of them. We can slow as well as freeze enemies for this to help us proc that Stylus Executioner. On top of this, we're going to be using our Magnetic Grenade, so we can get that Spirit of the Foetracer to proc by getting those ability damage, or that ability damage with this grenade on those orange and yellow bar enemies, so we get that ×4 void weapon damage. Now, Stylus Executioner, important for this build, of course, because defeating targets affected by elemental debuffs grants us that invisibility as well as true sight, plus after performing a Stylus Execution, your next melee while invisible also weakens targets, so that again will help us to be able to proc our little expanding abyss for that nice extra bit of damage on this build. For me, I went with Winter Shroud. You could really go with any of our other aspects that you want on this build, but I like the Winter Shroud one because that little bit of slow when we dodge will help us to stun overloads, as well as the Withering Blade right here, plus the combination of this with our Withering Blade, we get that freezing aspect of this build very easily as well, which does pair with our artifact, plus it is just good innately. As for our fragments that we got down here, Facet of Balance. Rapidly defeating targets with light grants us grenade energy, and then the opposite, I should say, light grants us melee, darkness defeat grants us grenades, so that allows us to spam our Withering Blade and Magnetic Grenade a little bit more. We got our Facet of Command, the most broken thing this season. Freezing or suppressing targets reloads our equipped weapons, and stability, aim assist, and airborne effectiveness also increase. We create stasis shards and void breaches as well, so we are collecting both of those for this little build. On top of that, we got our Facet of Defiance. Lots going on over there, but finishers create a detonating that either scorches, jolts, severs, slows, makes targets volatile, so that is what we are getting. More volatility on this build, plus all the weapon volatility that we're getting. As the last couple that we got here, Facet of Protection. While surrounded by combatants, we gain more resistance to incoming damage, while Transcendent, this is even higher effect. Last but not least, we got that Facet of Courage. Our Arc, Solar, Void abilities do increased damage to those affected by darkness, so our grenade's going to do a little bit more damage against all of the affected combatants of that slow and freezing. Next on the list is our weapon options, and we do got quite a few to pair with this because I just couldn't decide. Plus, with our artifact, we got lots of options for those champions. First off, I went with the Final Warning, still trying to unlock that catalyst, but it'll just give us a nice reload value to this, as well as refunding some of that ammo. Final Warning was feeling very good, especially for a kinetic like primary weapon. It was melting some of those stronger bosses. On the flip side, we got the Call, which is a great strand sidearm. Both of these are going to stun unstoppable champions for us, as well as help us to create a little bit of that synergy with the slicing effect of these weapons. As for our our energy weapons, we're going to have the Recluse as an option, LC's Pulse Rifle right here, both of these with Repulsor Destabilizing. These will be both barrier weapons this season on our artifact, both feeling very good and help us to apply Gryfalcons without having to go invisible first or anything like that. We get that destabilizing to proc, and then of course if we're going something like the Call, we can throw on Graviton, because this thing right here with its ability for Cosmology, Vorpal weapon, it is disgusting with that volatility on it, so it'll spread everywhere, getting all of those defeats on each a little Cosmology, letting us go invisible consistently. But I was really liking the Recluse paired with the Final Warning. Last off, in our heavy slot, we got the Hammerhead, of course, Envious Assassin, Killing Tally, feeling very good for that ad clear, especially with Volatility, of course. Edge Transit right here, Envious Bait and Switch for those DPS phases. Then you really could throw on Falling Guillotine if you wanted. Void, we get that Volatility on them, plus Vorpal Bait and Switch, very good for that up close and personal DPS side of things. Next off, we got these stats as well as the mods to go into, so we're going to build out Resilience as well as Discipline and Strength as our 3 100s, with Recovery being my 4th. I threw it at 50, plus down here in our mods we got Font of Restoration, which gets us plus 30 when we pick up those Orbs of Power for that armor charge, so that is why we are having this with Powerful Attraction. Every time we dodge, we're going to be able to pick up those orbs to get this to proc a lot easier without having to go out there and find it. Plus, Bomber just wanted to have my grenade back a little bit faster when I did dodge. Recuperation, so we get a little bit of our health back when we dodge, plus with this it'll just give them to us, so that is why I said that. We're going to get Orbs of Restoration, giving us even more ability spam potential of this build, with stacks on stacks getting 2 energy charges, or armor charges I should say, when we pick up those Orbs of Power. As for your chest piece, I went with whatever you're going into. Solar Arc Resistance is what I had, but you can go with Stasis, Strand, whatever it may be, plus Charged Up, so we increase that armor charge by 1, so this will last even longer for us, having that extra little bit of charge. Heavy-handed, because of our ability for double shurikens to freeze and explode enemies, creating even more Orbs of Power for us, plus the synergy of momentum transfer with impact induction, causing damage with our grenade and melee will refund each other, so allowing us again even more ability spam, with all of our weapons that I showed you being able to create Orbs of Power because of Harmonic Siphon, Strand Siphon right here for our Void and Strand, and then I went with Heavy Ammo Finder, but if you're using that the Call, you could use Special Ammo Finder, totally up to you, but I was really liking having that heavy up at all times, especially when I had Hammerhead going. Now last but not least, our Hunter's Journal right here, beautiful little thing that we got for the Void synergy, that Expanding Abyss I was talking about, those Void damage increases against weakened targets, which we're getting via our melee, our super with this build, so very easy to get this to proc because we're going invisible constantly with Stylish Executioner. On top of that, Shield Crush right here, when we have that Void over shield, we're going to get melee energy to go up as well as deal more damage, plus we're becoming Radiant on this build with the mod next to this, so we're going to get Grenade to charge faster as well, and that is that Radiant Orbs, so when we're on that Prismatic subclass, all those Orbs of Power that we're picking up are making us Radiant, so with that Powerful Attractions, just dodging is going to get us a lot to proc. As well, we're going to have Counter Energy, so when we stun a champion, we're going to gain energy as well to our least charged ability, allowing us to spam even harder. Elemental Siphon, so rapid defeats with kinetic weapons or weapons matching our equipped super, create elemental pickups, so we're going to create a bunch of Void Breaches on this build. With that Creeping Chill, one of the reasons why I had that dodge to slow plus our shurikens, with the Creeping Chill, we're going to be able to freeze a lot of targets, so anybody using stasis weapons is going to be able to create slow and frozen target bursts based on the enemies that are around me. Now on top of that, Threaded Blast with those strand weapons, any strand tangles that we see around are going to create a large explosion, and it's definitely way larger than it is just normally without this Threaded Blast. We're going to be using Winning Hand, so when we are using the Call, we get that Dealer's Choice origin trait to give us some solar explosions, with elemental charges being at a significant discount. Last but certainly not least, like I said, Submachine Gun Pulse Rifles are going to be our anti-barrier weapons, with our 2 sidearms being unstoppable, so this build is disgusting, like I said, for getting in there any type of content, being invisible consistently, one because of Stylish Executioner and that slow in our dodge, the freeze in our shuriken as well, Plus, with this build, we're getting volatility consistently, whether it be with those finishers because of Prismatic or because of that Stylus Executioner. Plus, on a few of our weapons, we do have Repulsor Brace destabilizing rounds, so it's the ability to also give us some overshield, create volatility by ourselves. Super fun Prismatic build. These class items are so much fun to acquire. Love the mission, and they are making Prismatic absolutely broken in my opinion. Build crafting potential for us is almost infinite. This one, like I said, is that Foetracer's Gryfalcons. Still waiting on some God rolls like a Caliban Synthoceps, something along that line. I did get a Calibans with a Verity, so interested for a little ability spam as well. We will get into that, but hopefully you hunters enjoy this build, using Tether, going invisible consistently, getting volatility consistently, ×4 weapon surge as well. So it is a wonderful, super fun build that really anybody can use super easily. So again, appreciate all that support on the channel. Like and subscribe if y'all haven't. It helps me out, helps the channel out a bunch, as well as you get the notifications when you slap that bell so you don't miss out on any of these builds, as well as weapon guides, mission guides, stuff like that we put on the channel. So again, appreciate all you guys. I'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace.